Joanne Dennehy is a woman who gets results from flirting. She even tries it on with police officers on those occasions that she's arrested. Which puts a man called Łukasz Slobaszewski way out of his comfort zone. Back home in Poland, the text he's just received may have triggered an alarm. Too good to be true. Perhaps, but in England, his guard is down. It's from Joanne Dennehy, enticing him to her place for no strings attached sex. He was completely fooled, which isn't a surprise because by this stage in her life she's got men at her beck and call. It's something that she uses very much to play on her sexuality to attract men. Łukasz is attracted to Dennehy. He has no idea who he's dealing with. Women tend not to become serial killers. Łukasz had happened upon a woman who longed to be one. Will she kill him? She might. Hers is an exclusive club. She's one of only 3 women that are convicted in the UK of serial murder. What is to be her decision the day that she sends him the come to bed message? She considers his fate, strokes her knife. She's excited, a woman who literally has a lust for blood. Łukasz is about to discover what goes on inside the mind of a serial killer. Joanne Dennehy knew the big skies and rich fields of England's flatlands. Knowledge of the fen's remote ditches was useful too. Drop a body in one and it could lie undetected for a long time. She's been collecting intelligence like this for over a decade. It was here her grisly story began to unfold. Too late to save the lives of 3 men. Each of the men she attacked had inadvertently triggered in her a desire to kill. Joanne Dennehy takes offense easily. And if she does, no man is safe. They'd said something she didn't like or looked at her in a way she thought disrespectful. So she would kill them. At first she chose to attack men who displeased her but soon dropped the pretense. She selects an arbitrary criteria for knifing any man she sees. Dog walking. She approached 2 men in the street who were walking their dog and in broad daylight attacked them with a large knife. She stabbed 5 men, each a frenzied attack, before finally she was caught and captured on camera happily chatting to arresting officers. You see the level of bravado and narcissism. She's standing in front of the clerk for murder. For taking people's lives, an attempted murder. And she gloats and says, "Well, yeah, at least I'm not fat or ugly. It's this, you know, last attempt to kind of seem that I'm the one that's in control. I know what I'm doing here and no one's going to rock my confidence." Joanne Dennehy occupies a position in the police force. Dennehy occupies a rare place in the history of serial killers. A young mother from a loving family. She got a kick out of killing. Someone has to be a serial killer's first. Would it be Łukasz Slobaszewski? He's in Peterborough, England in March 2013. Soon he plans to return to his native Poland. He is getting casual work at this point. His sister lives in London building a career and he's come over to see what he can find. His is not a settled world. He has no permanent home. At 31, he is yet to start his own family. He is a happy man. His sister describes him as the joker of the family. At this point in his life, he has no responsibilities. So he is drifting. Really, it is now he comes across Dennehy. Both are in the area finding work and then renting rooms where they can. She and Łukasz have flirted a little. It is not flattering. She returns his wisecracks, encourages him. She was setting him up in a particular way. She was sending him flirtatious texts. She was asking him to come to her home. It certainly looks like she was grooming Łukasz, tempting him, trying to win his confidence. He believed there was potential for a relationship. She, on the other hand, was just luring him into a trap. She springs the trap on a gray March day. This message gets to the point. Łukasz is in no doubt what is on offer. He sets off to the address that Joanna has given him. Łukasz has a transient lifestyle. Not working full-time, no family strains, miles from home. He has time on his hands. A random series of text messages from someone he has just met may appear odd to some. But to him they appear perfectly normal. Maybe this English girl just fancies him. On receiving her text, Łukasz sends a message to a friend. Life. he says, is beautiful. In fact, he's in a very dangerous place. Donahue can sense his vulnerability at this point. He has nothing else to do but come and see her. He will be alone. She will be ready. You've got this situation where on the one hand you have someone wondering about whether or not they're going to have sex, and you have someone else wondering about whether or not they're going to kill the other person. Donahue was making up her mind. How far will she go with her violent fantasies? She later told friends that she wanted to know just how cold she was. She admits knowing that she cannot feel for other people. Wukash reads the text message one last time. Today is going to be fun. What had made Joanna Donahue the woman she had become by 2013? An aimless 31-year-old mother of two drifting from bedsit to bedsit. As a child, she was a model daughter, not displaying any hint of psychopathic tendencies. For many serial killers, you begin to see very early on that they're not engaging with their surroundings. That there's difficulties, that they're harming perhaps animals, or they're taking comfort in the hurt of other people. This wasn't the case for her. If you look at her childhood, it would appear to be trauma-free and relatively normal. She, as evidenced by reports from her sister and her parents, was a very happy, engaged young girl, at least until the age of 13. There were simply no signs of what was to come. At 12, she was enthusiastic at sports and good in class. In fact, she was a really good student. So good that her parents were paying for extra tuition to ensure that she was able to reach her goal of becoming a lawyer. So we have a normal, achieving, caring, functioning 12-year-old, and then it all changes. And then at 15, there is a dramatic change in her character. She skips school, hangs out with a group of older boys. She's abusing drugs. She's abusing alcohol. She's sexually active, and by the time she's 16, she's actually moved out of the house and is living with an older man. Who could have known she would become such a troubled adolescent? There's clear indications that Joanne Dennehy had a drink and drug problem. But there's also clear indications that she had other kinds of mental illness and was known to the local psychiatric service from a relatively young age. So it's quite clear that there was a combination of drink and drugs and to a degree mental illness that was influencing her behavior. For money, Joanne gets casual work on farms, but she develops an expensive dependency on alcohol. Her boyfriend knows that some days she asks to be paid in booze, and he sees what it does to her. Alcohol makes Joanne extremely violent, so we know that even in this first relationship, whenever she's under the influence of drugs or alcohol, she becomes very aggressive. She'll beat him up. She'll become very violent towards him. By now aged 22, the transformation from Dennehy the conforming child to Dennehy the threatening, dysfunctional adult is all but complete. All the evidence would suggest that Joanne Dennehy is deceitful, irresponsible, impulsive, lacking in remorse and empathy, and completely focused on her own needs. They are all the traits of psychopathy. Some of her friends recall strange sexual habits. She would take out her own knife, hold it to her throat, and matters escalated. She was a self-harmer. She would cut her stomach and arms whilst having sex. People around her are identifying her behavior as really problematic. So her partner is frightened of her, and they have 2 children now, and he takes the children with him and gets full custody and goes as far away as he can. Years of erratic sadomasochistic behavior follow as Dennehy moves from low-rent bedsit to down-at-heel room, picking up odd jobs, turning to prostitution, and eventually being arrested for violent behavior. She will be diagnosed with a psychotic condition. She in fact has a sexual paraphilia where she enjoys sadomasochism that's not only inflicting pain on herself but actually inflicting pain on others and getting real pleasure from that. This was the woman who Łukasz Slobaszewski considered as simply the frisky girl who said "come to my bed" text messages. The wild English woman who offers sex acts should he come over. He's outside her door when he sends a reply. Anyone would deduce looking at the text messages sent that she was luring him into a trap, and that clearly suggests that she had to a degree premeditated what she intended to do. Premeditated, a key turning point in her story. A cold, rational set of decisions to make something happen. To lure a man to her side. But what else has she planned? So far she's never killed. From what we know, the only person she has turned her knife on was herself, as she's self-harmed. She always has it with her even when having sex. And some of her partners do say she was very scary to be with. It is cold as she opens the door to Wukasj. She beckons him in. He looks at her, perhaps spotting for the first time the star tattoo she has beneath her right eye. Behind her back, her favorite knife. Their eyes meet. Life for Wukasj is so exciting in England. Will Joanne Denny use the knife that she has sharpened endlessly? Hour after hour on an unsuspecting man. He thinks he struck lucky with the woman he has known for just a few days. Would he have considered himself lucky if he knew of her past? Almost exactly a year before this moment, a psychiatrist had diagnosed Denny as having an antisocial personality disorder and an obsessive-compulsive disorder. Denny weighs up what to do. Have sex or kill the man. Or both. Wukasj is in a world of danger. And there are no warning signals. Joanne Denny is a woman that thrives on confrontation. And the natural follow-on for that is that she actually enjoyed the physical element of the violence that she inflicted on the men and the control she was able to inflict on these men. She was immensely powerful. She had actually worked as an enforcer for loan sharks. Joanna Denny is strong. Wukasj sees the knife. Too late. She strikes. She plunged the knife into his chest. Denny's habit when knifing her victim was to smile. The last thing Wukasj Zabrzezinski will have seen would have been the grinning face and demented eyes of his killer. He died almost immediately. 31-year-old Wukasj had come to England to learn the language, earn money to send home to his mother and have some fun. His guard down, he had become the perfect victim for Joanne Denny. Her honey trap had worked. She knew it would. She had a way with men. She had no problem attracting men. From her school days, they would bend to her will. Older boys in the same school. Slightly older men she would come across. They would all do her bidding. It was time to call on one of the Denny men for help. She needs a little muscle to get rid of the body of Wukasj Zabrzezinski. The first of her go-to male followers that she considers is Gary Stretch. When Denny had met him, Stretch was in the same drifter's world as hers. He's a giant, standing over 7 feet 3 inches tall. At one point in his life, things had appeared normal. He had married, but a genuinely devoted father. He had issues. His real name was Gary Richards and he suffered from gigantism. He grew beyond 7 feet. He adopted the name Stretch as a strategy to deflect constant teasing. He became a petty thief and eventually split from his wife. But Stretch was no criminal mastermind. He'd once burgled an office only to steal a single chocolate, also leaving behind his fingerprints, leading to his arrest. There is something absurd about Gary Stretch. She quickly spots a potential accomplice, a willing volunteer in her life. The pair make an unlikely couple. Stretch almost certainly feels wanted, needed. He's very self-conscious. There's evidence to suggest that he was actually wanted.